you are the only, among female actors, the only rags to riches story. What do you mean by that?
Well, I think India is a very big, a hodgepodge sort of a land, isn't it? Like, growing up back home in the mountains, I never thought we were any different or we were poor or anything like that, because there's a lot of equality there. Mountains are very different. You will never find a merc, or you will never see something very expensive, but you will not see a beggar either. You will never see anybody poor. So we grew up in an environment which was very neutral. It was only when I came to Mumbai, or a big city like a Delhi or Mumbai, the harsh reality of the world, like there were slums and there were really big 5-star hotels, I would go like, oh my goodness, I couldn't believe when I entered. I still remember first time I entered a lobby of a 5-star hotel. I just couldn't believe the kind of the sort of luxury and the scale of things, grandeur. And the same way the beggars, toddlers are just sort of playing around.
Right.
So for me it was very unsettling. But then according to that economy, I felt that my parents or they couldn't even sort of afford me to pay rent maybe in a place like Delhi or Mumbai. They could definitely could not support me. Of course, they had their own set of ideas, and they were scared for me because they've heard horrible stories about girls turning into porn stars or things like that, or people sort of misusing them. But along with that, there was the true thing, the matter of fact is that they could have not afforded to pay even 20,000 rent a month for me, or even give me, like, in those days, I don't know now how much it is for a struggler to support herself in a city like Delhi or Mumbai, but 10 years ago I could have even, maybe sort of made the ends meet in 10, 12, 20,000 rupees or something.
But there's a perception that homes have, which are not from metropolitan cities, often is, there's a show business and it's like this dirty world, and or as you said, like you turn to porn stars.
Yeah.
And that was what your parents thought of the profession per se?
Yes. And that's something very commonly that happens, and also I had a very I almost fell into a trap like that. I've had similar, everything I was warned against, it happened to me.
Really?
Yes.
What do you mean?
Everything that I think, the fact that people met me and they promised to guide me, to help me, and then I was put on house arrest, and then Pehlaj Nihalani had offered me a film called I Love You Boss or something, and they had a photo shoot. So they gave me a robe to wear, and they didn't give me any undergarments, and they said you can't wear undergarments, and I'm like, okay. So there was this robe, and I had to stick my leg out, and then I'm like, and it was a satin robe, and I'm like, they should give some tapes or something, because every time I'll go like that, and I couldn't pose. So it was basically that showgirl pose, that girl is coming out of the darkness like fully naked, and the theme of the film was something about that I am like a young kid who's lusting over her like a really middle-aged boss or something, like a really that soft soft porn sort of a character. And I had this epiphany, and I'm like, I can't do this after that shoot. And I felt like like I can't do this. This is exactly what my parents were talking about, even though it didn't feel that bad, because they were, talking about respectable names who will be playing
the
middle-aged man.
Right.
But I just felt very, very alarmed in that particular photo shoot. So I could have ended like that. I think it could have ended something very unfortunate for me, and I'm sure it happens to a lot of people. Let's not just glorify the struggle, because a lot of stories die down without even a hint of any hope. But I did struggle. I have had like really horrible time with everything possible, but there's been always that silver lining somewhere for me. But I don't know how many people do find that.
So what happened after the photo shoot? Did you run away? Did you actually go through it?
I went through the photo shoot, then I disappeared. I changed my phone number and I disappeared.
On them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so and around that time I was giving more auditions, and I had given audition for Gangster and Pokeri, which is Puri Jagannath's film, and luckily I got both the films. So I had to actually take that call if if I want to do Puri's film or Basu's film. So in that hope, I could leave that film, because there was, you know, like how something doesn't happen for the longest time and then how you get 2-3 things together. That was the phase for me. So I chose Gangster, but Pokri also went on to become a very big
Huge
hit.
hit. What became Wanted later, right?
Yes,
With Salman Khan.
yes. And then I worked with Puri sir again. He met me after Gangster, and he was very happy to see my work. I'd say that I've been very fortunate to be able to, you know, have this sort of, to start with Gangster, it's sort of, you know, it gave me the kind of image I needed. I could have not done a, what you call in filmy term, I exposed that there were backless scenes. Even in fashion, there was, you know, like, that was not my concern. Like, I'm not somebody who will say, "Arey, ye tang nahi aur ye dikhana," you know, like, I'm not that person. But at the same time, there is a very strong image around actors, and then it's very difficult to defy that, to break that, and especially when you are just going with what is offered to you. You do not have a set of people who understand that about you, or who would want to help you. So I've been very fortunate that it just set me up, Gangster or fashion, in a good actor zone. Even though I was a bit eccentric, and you know, everyone thought that I can only do edgy characters and only do homeless or druggy character, or you know, like eccentric character.
Have, no?
Yeah, but it was better than being
Sure.
a, you know, like a,
being like one of many.
yeah.
You stood out.
Yes.
In that sense.
Yes.
So you do have like these moments where your life's taken a turn for the better, right? So how long did it take for you to get to the first point, which would be Gangster, of course? 2-3 years? When did you move to Bombay?
I moved to Bombay in 2005.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh wow. So that's the same year as Gangster, so not too long.
But I came to Mumbai, and I was doing some catalog shoot. I was with Elite Modeling Agency. So it's not a place where you can come and be like, guess what, I'm gonna now get an apartment and stay here. So I was coming back and forth and just doing some auditions and things like that. There is this girl hostel, Asha Chandra girl hostel in, so there were these rooms where...
In Juhu.
In Juhu, yeah.
Right.
Sangeeta Apartments. So they were renting actually mattresses and a closet. There was no room to rent. There were 5-6 mattresses and 5-6 closets, and for 5,000 or something. That was the rent in those days. So I got a room like that, and I think sometime 2004 end or beginning, when I got this assurance that I have some job, that's when I stayed back.
Which is when you were modeling?
I was modeling in Delhi, but that same agency sent me to Mumbai to do some catalog shoot, and then I kept going back and forth, and I came back only when I got like a "I love you, boss," or that film was called "I Love You, Boss."
Did it get made? Do you know?
No, he still meets me, and he's like, you left that film, and I didn't make it with anyone else.
But nothing unsavory, right? Nothing happened on that set or during the photo shoot in terms of a Me Too moment, as it were?
No,
Sure.
not at all. I'll have to say that. No, if I have gotten into troubles like that only because of myself.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
I think I've been in places where I've pushed the limit, you know, like I've been in situations where I was going through a very dark phase and very destructive phase as well. So I would, I don't know how that works, but being a teenager, I've always made sure that I am in situations that lead to drastic circumstances, you know, like I would, really strange situations. I wouldn't want to sort of open up it like that,
Sure.
but yes, I've exposed myself to all sort of dangers, and yes, I've paid heavy price for that. But that was something more destructive in me than actually someone who's sort of, you know, taking advantage of a damsel in distress. I've never been that person. Fortunately or unfortunately, I've never, like, you know, I was 15 and my father was trying to say something, and I'm like, what are you going on about, you know, like. So I've never been that person. At the age of 15, I could tell that I don't need to take shit from you. So that way I've been quite straightforward. I understand some people cannot be like that, but some people are like that, and they cannot be any other way. But did I go through harassment, or did I go through unpleasant circumstances with opposite sex, or situations where were absolutely unpleasant? Yes, plenty of them. Because I've put myself on purpose in those situations, because I personally felt that I had no way back. and if something doesn't happen, if something good doesn't happen, something absolutely bad should happen, and I should experience something, you know, something experiential should happen, either good or bad.
It's a very teenage thing to do.
Isn't it? Like,
yeah,
I
we all
think
go through
especially
this.
when I was young, I was humiliated by my family, and I didn't feel, I felt a sense of longing that I need to do something, and that lack of faith and trust from my family, it all just brought about in adolescence, it all just brought about a sense of destruction in me that seemed very relieving. It seemed absolutely gratifying every time I put myself in destructive situations.
But you're doing it automatically, not because you want to be a rebel.
It was more subconscious, and even when I stumble across a film like A Gangster or something like that, I did not, by that time my hope for a good future was so bleak, was so, you know, I mean, I didn't, at that point, maybe I hoped it way before that, but by that time I was so exhausted that it just didn't even seem like something good would ever happen to me.
Really?
You can tell that
You
from
reached
the-
that point.
Yes.
You couldn't care less.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. Can't you tell from my performance?
No.
I was.
I thought you were playing that character, honestly.
I was 17. I don't
Sure.
think I played a character in those days, because I was 17. I was not a. I mean, of course, I done little bit theatre, so I could take instructions. If you tell me now you cry, so I would, or now you don't. So I would take those many instructions, but at the same time, I was not a seasoned actor who would have a graph like that. But I was actually in that situation in my life that I didn't care
You
anymore.
were playing yourself?
I think yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Wow. That's news to me.
Subscribe to Midday India. Get direct notifications on all our videos by clicking on the bell icon.